All right, welcome to another serving of convention tea. I am Nadeshko Gatsby, the Wisteria Witch, here to tell you all about Fanime Con 2025. It was a very interesting convention. I was very busy from start to finish at Fanime Con. Every day I spent at the con was super busy, and I can't wait to tell you all about it. Originally, I wasn't going to Fanime. I was actually planning on Anime Boston instead, but you know what? I think I made a good decision here to attend Fanime up in San Jose. And if this is your first time tuning into Convention Tea is produced by Scarlet Rhapsody. Scarlet Rhapsody is a long-time convention blogging website that is been running since the year 2000. That started out in a college dorm room. It started out as like, hey, I liked Anime Expo. I wanted to share my photos. I wanted to talk about some of my stories from Anime Expo and put it all on my website. I then did the same for Animagic and Anime Central, and I just built a website that just basically shows off convention photos, cosplay photos, and just an overall review of each convention. We are the longest, most active running website that hosts convention reports. Can you believe that? We've been doing this for almost 25 years, and we don't plan to stop anytime soon. All right, let's talk some Fanime Con 2025. So, my first Fanime convention was 2003 when it was held at the Santa Clara Convention Center. It was the last year at the Santa Clara Convention Center. I originally wanted to go in '01, but plans didn't work out. I was still in high school and I wanted to like focus on school instead. And Fanime, I ended up going to school up in the Bay Area, ended up going to university in the Bay Area, and this became like my college party con. This was a convention I would attend with my college friends, and we would just have a great time. And I kind of always associate Fanime as like, yeah, every year this is where I get to reunite with my college buddies, have some fun, and see where it all goes. And I have to say, a lot of these friendships and a lot of these acquaintances have turned into lifelong friendships all have their all continues to grow at Fanime. I will say that Fanime is not the most perfect con in the world. No convention is. Fanime has also have been met with problems over the past couple of years, but I decided to like, you know what? The last Fanime I went to was back in 2023. I skipped out last year in favor of saving up for a trip to London. So let's see how FanimeCon 2025 led up. And before we continue, you can check out our sponsors, which is Petals and Poisons. With Petals and Poisons, you can use my code Spectre15 to get 15% off your order. Petals and Poisons, if you like all things spooky, if you want to live your best Nosferatu life, if you like indulging into the gothic pleasantries of the Victorian era, or just love gothic and spooky jewelry in general, highly recommend checking out Petals and Poison. I'm so excited to order some jewelry from them in the future because my idol group, well, we'll talk more about why I plan to order from Petals and Poison in the future. All right, so FanimeCon 2025. I had a very busy Fanime. You can like see all here. You can just check this out here. That like, wow, it's been a busy convention for me. I had a lot going on at Fanime 2025. I had performances with Angel Hearts, Cosplay Wrestling Federation, and I ran but not one, but three different panels. And of course, with Fanime, you also want to plan out your cosplays. Let me tell you, my brain was super mushy when I was at right before Fanime because I'm like, what are my cosplay plans? My day one, lead Cenobite. Day two, because I'm also Swifty too. Like, yes, Reputation Taylor's version is coming. Spoiler alert, it's not. And yeah, just I mean, the only thing that's really true here is my day four cosplay because I'm not wrong. I actually did cosplay from SSSS Gridman, which and the S's are short for Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad. So I'm actually looking forward to cosplaying with my buddy Geki from SSSS Gridman. It's a fun anime. Highly recommend. If you love Ultraman, if you love the original Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad, this is a fun anime, and I had no idea that I would tear up towards the end. So that is my shout out. If you get anything from this VTuber presentation, watch SSS Gridman. Amazing stuff. All right, let's talk about Fanime Con 2025. Of course, I've been saying that for a few times. So, what did I actually cosplay as? So, I actually went as Saber Lily from Fate Grand Order. I only was able to wear my Fate costumes for a very brief moment for Cosplay Wrestling Federation because I do a lot of Fate characters for Cosplay Wrestling Federation. And I also did Miyaka from Fushigi Yugi. I wore Miyaka twice during the weekend. One was to grab food with friends, and the other time was just to kind of like, yeah, this is my Sunday costume. Let's see how many people remember Miyaka from Fushigi Yugi. How many people remember Fushigi Yugi? And I was actually quite surprised that people actually went up to me like, "Are you the priestess of Suzaku?" As I stand, yes, I am the priestess of Suzaku. And of course, I cosplay as Rika from SSS Gridman. Akane is actually my favorite character, but Rika comes in a very, very close second. Again, all the feels. I won't spoil anything, but I never thought that the. I never thought like this would make me tear up towards the end. So again, I really need to sing the praises of SSSS Gridman. All right, let's also talk about just some other clothing choices for Fanime. So I was also part of a Disney Gathered group as Snow White. I Snow White is one of my favorite Disney movies. In fact, it is in my top five. The original 1937 Snow White. It's actually my top five horror movies. Watch the original animated movie again, and think of it as a horror movie. It's just amazing visuals, just what they do with the color, and if you know anything about the original behind the scenes of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, the original 1937 classic, it did so much for the Disney studios. And it is just like one of my favorite success stories. If I ever need inspiration, if I'm really feeling down on a project that, like, yeah, this is not going to go anywhere, that was a story of Snow White and Seven Dwarfs in 1937, and it is truly a story of triumph. So if you aren't familiar with the behind the scenes, highly recommend looking that up. And then I also had my Gyaru outfit. This is my idol persona, Ari, the Reputation Red Angel of Angel Hearts. And so there's a story behind the hair here. Originally, I was supposed to have a blonde ponytail because, like, I'm supposed to be, because my Angel Hearts character has blonde hair, but my buddy Key was like, yeah, use your Miyako wig. Okay, because it's more in tune with the aesthetic of it. And I tried finding for like a blonde wig that kind of fit into the aesthetic to have like a ponytail that echoed like Y2K J-pop kind of styles with Matsuri thrown in. And then I was just wearing my Miyako wig when we all went out to dinner. I was like, you know what? Like, try your Miyako wig. Okay. And also, I like the idea of having the darker brown hair with my Ari outfit here for Reputation Red. So I had a routine where I had to do hair dual fans. And then when I was doing the cost test, it was like, yeah, I wish I had time to have brown hair for my outfit because I'm looking at my outfit right here. It is giving my Shiranui. And I'm like, you know what? Granted, Street Fighter 6 also came out with a brand new My Shiranui skin today. I'm like, yeah, I might teach myself King of Fighters one of these days. I know, I always like My Shiranui, like, guys gooning over her aside. Like, I always like her positive spirit, I like her positive attitude, and I just like any fighting game character that just carries around fans. Okay, I stand corrected. It's DLC. So much terminology. Anywho. And then we have Hollywood Persian. So this version, Hollywood Persian, debuted at SakuraCon back in April, and this is a and this is a version that is inspired by Sabrina Carpenter, Lady Gaga, and above all Chelsea Green. I got all the leftover tulle of this color at Joann's, and I just went to town with it for the skirt here. So I'm actually trying to work this character up to be a heel. It's my first time, like, thinking of, like, yeah, I'm playing a bad guy here at Cosplay Wrestling Federation, and I'm working towards that. But we'll get more into CWF in just a few. But these were just my many outfits that I brought to Cosplay Wrestling Federation. Here were some of the popular fandoms that were present at Fanime. But I want to preface this by saying that there was no fandom that felt like it was overtaking the convention. I like the variety and the mixture of fandoms. 2025 is a great year to be in the whole anime scene because there's just a lot to get into and there's just a lot to see. So some of the popular fandoms at Fanime that at least I saw, maybe you have a different opinion, and shout that out in the chat, shout that out in the comments. But I saw a lot of Sonic cosplayers this year in all incarnations. And speaking of which, we also have Marvel Rivals. It was so wholesome to see various Jeff the Landshark cosplayers. I have a friend that I like to tease when it comes to this character. Anytime I see like a Landshark character, like, yeah, you gotta cosplay as him. I will get you the shark onesie and we will make this happen. And then we have one of my favorites that came out recently, Apothecary Diaries. This is also one of like the series that I want to cosplay from. I want to cosplay as Mal Mal when she has like the cat ears and tail, kind of when she kind of goes in her chibified mode. Or I'm totally fine with the concubines because I also appreciate, if you see my Suzaku no Miko costume, I want to take up on like another Hanfu challenge. But yeah, I will get my friend to wear a shark onesie. All right. Angel Hearts Idols. Let's kind of give them a shout out. This is my idol group. Follow them on Instagram. They're also on YouTube. We're having a couple of our YouTube videos being uploaded. I'm very excited to see the official video of our performance at Fanime. Angel Hearts Idols. We've been around since 2003. I joined last year when Angel Hearts were getting the band back together again. And we are just a bunch of millennials and a few Zs who have joined us that love Para Para, love dancing to Annie songs, and this is just one of the best decisions I've ever made. Being in the anime community was to go through a process of reinvention and join an idol group, and it's fun. All right, so I arrived literally day one of Fanime. I didn't do day 0 because the flight from the LA area to Fanime is about 45 minutes long. I can just get an early morning flight and I can get in before all the big events happen. This has been my tradition every year for Fanime. Just kind of take it easy on Thursday and then just fly in Friday morning. Registration was not too bad. I got in for the first time ever as industry. For the longest time, I've been attending Fanime as press. And because of my book, The Fangirl Diaries, I've actually got industry. So ended up going to industry registration and ended up picking up my badge, and it was good times. Also on day one, I also was a part of my friend Cha's Disney Gyaru shoot, and this is just all of us being silly. Credit goes to my buddy Laura. She's the Donald Duck in the photo here. And we just kind of like did like Y2K style Gyaru, Disney princesses and heroines. Which can you identify in the photo? I ended up being Snow White. Again, Snow White is like one of my favorite animated movies, one of my favorite horror movies. And if you see here, I am holding a poison apple stein. It glows in the dark, so when we had that in the room, I just made sure like it was like front and center so everyone can see the glow in the dark poison apple steiner in our room. Okay, also on day one is opening ceremonies. Opening ceremonies took place at Stage 0. Stage 0 is like this open air stage where people can check out performances, game shows, and so forth. This is just a very lively section of the convention. Just grab a seat and you never know what's going to be up. Like some of the more popular things that were on there, like I mentioned, were like just game shows, and you also had like what the kids call K-pop random dance play. That is when you put on a K-pop music video. If you know to dance, you go on stage and do that dance with some strangers that hopefully turn into friends at the end of the day. Yeah, so one of the things with day one here with Stage Zero is the introduction of the guests of honor. We had a couple of Western voice actors. I know we had a popular VTuber by the name of Doki Bird, who also had some karaoke events scattered throughout the event. We also had my colleague Linda. Linda is like one of my Gundam buddies, and she was asking me at the end of the con, like, "Did you cosplay from Gundam at this convention?" I didn't cosplay from Gundam, but I did cosplay from something that is mecha adjacent. But you do give me some motivation to go back into cosplaying from Gundam. Maybe I should start on that Lady Un cosplay because I want to give Wing some love. And I also have my Safari Relina cosplay, which I need to bring back to an anime con because wearing shorts and a shirt and a pill helmet at a con is very comfortable, especially when we get into the hot summer months. I also attended my friend's Para Para intro panel. When I went to this panel, it was held at the Signia Hotel. If you've been going to Fanime for a long time, this was the former Fremont Hotel. I've always liked this hotel. This was known as the Panels Hotel during the time. Signia has changed a lot since before lockdown. So the second half of the Signia has now been transformed into official San Jose State University dorms. So that bridge that connects it to the other building, it's no longer there. That's mainly for if you're a San Jose State student. And then, and then here we have our power panel at the Signia Hotel because the Signia Hotel was hosting J Fashion events. The Signia Hotel was home to the J Fashion Show and a separate dealer's hall that showcased various pieces of J Fashion. I'd be lying if I didn't buy a few things there, but when it came to J Fashion, it was not just Lolita, but it was also Mori Girl. One of my favorite vendors, Forest Girl Clothing, they were selling some accessories there, so I had to buy one of their ribbons. I own a few pieces of clothing from them. But yeah, it was all good times. So part of this programming included the Para Para panel, which included the history of Para Para. And something I learned is that there are still geriatric millennial Japanese folks in Japan that still love to go to clubs. They still like to do the dances, but being a geriatric millennial, you have kids to raise, you have a life, you have to be up early in the morning for work. So there's actually clubs in Japan where the clubs are open between the hours of between 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. So if you just want to dance and just do Night of Fire with your gal pals, hey, there's a club for that. Also, part of this panel is we got to learn Deluxe. And of course, Deluxe was one of the first songs I ever learned on Para Para back in high school. So I just went to the back to kind of also show people in the back how to do Deluxe. But I let the gals, no pun intended, do their thing. Alright, and it's just me a selfie with the panelists here, most of which are my friends, and we're also from the Disney meetup. Alright, like I said, the Signia was also home to J Fashion, so this is just a photo of one of the booths that was present. So you can kind of see just the different styles of Lolita present. And also day one, I decided to just wander around the convention just for a little bit. I wandered into the arcade. I ended up just watching a VTuber presentation. Just kind of yeah, I'll just sit here and vibe. And plus, I was wearing these chunky platform shoes. And I just need to sit down. I need to breathe. And yeah, I'll just vibe here. And then I decided to walk around the arcade section of the video game room. Sadly, there's no Para Para machine. There usually is every year, but you had Just Dance, you had Dance Dance Revolution, and various other rhythm games. Northern California is a hotbed for rhythm gaming, and you have some of the best of the best that come up here. So even then, it was just kind of cool just watching people just kind of just go at it on a lot of the rhythm game machines. All right, and then we also have Mahjong at the gaming room, and I also love how there's a giant Porygon plush there too. I didn't partake in Mahjong, but I'm just always amused. Oh hey, it's a game that my old uncles like to play, and it's at Fanime. People get very competitive about it. And then day one, I also decided to just wander around the dealer's hall. This is actually my college roommate. So when I talk about Fanime, just kind of being my college reunion con, my college roommate here, Chris Solis, has a card game company now, has a TCG company, and this is his game, Space Lion. And I just, I'm just saying here, like, I'm just very happy for him. I was actually trying to hunt him down like all weekend because he wanted me to sign his copy of my book, The Fangirl Diaries. And I just kind of like just kept walking by, like, Chris, where are you? You said I needed to sign, I need to sign your copy of my book. And also, if you look closely next to the panel, is the Bart Station booth. It's so surreal to see that Bart has like anime style mascots. And for the longest time, my buddy, well, we collectively call him Bart, because he would carry around a sign of that had like anime characters riding the Bart train, and as a way to get people to get on public transit. It's like, yeah, ride the Bart, and show like Osaka from Azumanga Daioh riding the Bart train, and Bart also cosplayed as a Bart ticket. Okay, I also attended the old school anime gathering on day one. Like, yeah, day one was really busy. Sometimes I always think to myself, am I getting my time's worth here? Like, what's going on? This is like anime of the 80s, so you can see my buddy Robbie front and center here as Ryoga. I was actually thinking about bringing my Ranma from the movie over to this con. However, I ended up changing from Snow White to Miyaka to make it to the old school anime gathering. This is just kind of like one of the group photos taken by like one of the organizers. Um, but yeah, this is just kind of a taste of like what old school anime was present. And typically, the old school anime that they allow are is if it's been before 2000. I know at SoccerCon, what they consider old school is before 2010. I also decided to stop by Stage Zero again, and just to support my friends who are doing a Para Para demonstration alongside with Fanimades and with the Ballroom Dance Committee. So, like my buddy Trish Giraffe, who is the Madame Geary of Cosplay Wrestling Federation. If you get that reference, we can be friends, but Trish is our Madame Geary. So, anyway, what they did was they showed off a few par dances, and they taught the audience the chocolat. I've been trying to find video of how to do this dance. I decided to sit in the front, like, yeah, I have like a lot of going on with my Miyaka cosplay. I'll let y'all enjoy and dance. But it looks like a simple enough dance to learn for a first timer. And also, one of the things I liked about this presentation is they also had a game show on like past the Lolita dress. So if you look carefully here, you see the maid in the front, or the maids in the front, just kind of like have a Lolita dress kind of wrapped around them like an apron. So went into teams of three: maids versus idols versus ballroom crew, to like whomever can pass on the Lolita dress and do a twirl and a pose, the fastest wins. Alright, just some highlights of some Friday cosplay. I feel it's not an anime convention in California until you see someone carrying around the new California Republic flag. I know, I always get a kick out of this flag. I've never played Fallout. I've been always curious about Fallout, but I don't have the specs on my computer to play Fallout. But I always liked it aesthetically, but I'm always amused by the new California Republic flag because it allows me to overthink. Is it one bear or two bears? I know it's a two-headed bear, but do we treat it as two bears or one bear? Things to think about. And then we also had Ranma and Genma here. I saw them roaming around. There was a Ranma cosplayers meetup earlier in the day, right before the old school gathering. And we also have some Hunter x Hunter people here as well. Other highlights of Friday, we have Resident Evil, Pat Labor, and I believe this person here is cosplaying from the Love Live. Oh, they're not cosplaying from Love Live. They're cosplaying as Hetalia Philippines. This is a fanon design of Hetalia Philippines. And then if you look closely in the background here of Hetalia Philippines, is you see Truck-kun, which is our favorite meme of how characters get isekai'd. Well, joke's on you, Truck-kun. The way how Miyaka and Yui got isekai'd into ancient China was being sucked into a book, just like the never-ending story. All right, that's it for day one because after all of that, I just decided to just focus on practicing for my Saturday show with Angel Hearts. All right, before we go on to Saturday, you can use my code CadillacCats for 10% off your order at multitasky.com. If you have a home office, if you like rose gold aesthetics, Multitasky is for you. Multitasky sells, again, things that you can have in your home office from pens, paper clips, post it notes, and even phone bank chargers and light rings as well. This light ring over here helped me get through lockdown as I was creating content for my office and also creating content for social media. And also, I take this light ring with me to conventions or if I need to get a photo shoot done because I rely on me for my photo shoots. Again, that code is Cadillac Cats for 10% off of your order at multitasky.com. All right, day two. All right, I was posting this picture of this doggo because this doggo looks very adorable. Let's go on to Saturday. So some Saturday highlights. So I always appreciate seeing like any Freeman cosplayers because I do love me some Freeman. I love some cozy fantasy. So I love that the Freeman cosplayer here, someone cosplayed as a mimic, that is chomping Freeman. That's just like one of my favorite moments of the Freeman anime. All right, day two is a big day. So, most of my Saturday morning was focused in on just getting my stuff together for Angel Hearts, working on my fan dance, and then just taking photos with RTL photography. And this was our crowd that was waiting for us to show up at day zero, show up at stage 0. All right, this is our Angel Hearts crew. Again, to tie in with Fanime's Matsuri theme, Key designed this Matsuri girl kind of outfit. And again, a lot of our outfits are very Y2K inspired. So again, shout out to everyone at Angel Hearts for making this all happen. And also shout out to Cha for also just helping me figure out all the details with the Matsuri girl outfit. A lot of us are scattered throughout California, majority team being Northern California and a few of us being in Southern California. And also, we have Second Star Cosplay as our manager, Chan. She's usually our lavender angel, but for this time around, she's posing as our manager. Okay, yeah, before we get into Fanimania, just wanted to just also mention that our show with Angel Hearts consisted of new Power dance songs and some songs that are also inspired by various of having some Matsuri themes. So I did a song from Aikatsu with excuse me with Tori and Ki. Um, I haven't touched Aikatsu in ages. Like I've watched the first couple of episodes and I really liked it, but I got distracted by something else. And Aikatsu was one of those animes where you had to stream on Kiss Anime, and I just didn't like my Windows computer getting all these stuff that would normally come with Kiss Anime. But Aikatsu's it's like one of those shoujos I really like, and I wouldn't mind going back into again. Some of our Para songs included Deluxe and from Kia Kiss, Everybody Dance by Lolita, and then we just ended things with Hello Project. All right, so day two, Fanimania. So for Fanimania, I did two characters for, we call this night one, even though it's on day two of Fanime. So for this one, let's kind of go through here. Usually our first show at Fanime or Fanimania is just basically a set of segments. These are usually tag matches, scripted segments that we usually have just to kind of warm things up for the main event on Sunday evening. And the events that I was a part of, I was Saber Lily in the Arthur versus Arthur versus Arthur versus Arthur match. This idea was concocted by Mr. Hiki, and he just brought this up in the chat. So I think Robbie and I just kind of like were originally going to do Ranma and Ryoga Um, but we just kind of like, well, the Ranma cosplay I have is from the movie, so I'd be a very femi Ranma. I wouldn't be able to do her standard like red outfit that she normally wears. Now that I do have the fabric, I could possibly make it because I bought all the red Kona fabric that was left over at my Joann's. But at the time I couldn't get it ready for it. But Mr. Hiki actually did suggest like, okay, Arthur v Arthur v Arthur v Arthur. And with that said, we had male Arthur from Fate, King Arthur from Monty Python and the Holy Grail, Saber Lily, which was like my debut CWF character. I first had her at Anime Las Vegas 2003. And she was a 24/7 belt person, and I was invited like, hey, do you want to be part of 24/7 belt? Like, sure, let me bring my Saber Lily, let me bring my Excalibur, let's figure this out. And then we had Arthur Reed from the PBS children's show. I think because the audience for Fanime loves memes, the winner went to Arthur Reed, and plus I love how our Arthur Reed also came up with a book report to call each one of us out. And I also like he had like the frame to like meme his wrist right there. And I'm just like, this was just such a fun match. I think Arthur Reed had it in the bag, but I just wanted to just do my best performance as Saber Lily because I'm actually trying to build Saber Lily up to be Saber Saber. And I think if I'm maybe I'm just a little bit biased, but I think this was the best match of the night. Also, I was part of a Battle of the Bands type of act. This idea was concocted by Trish the Ref, aka Madame Geary of CWF. So Trish had this idea like, hey, let's do something idly like for Cosplay Wrestling Federation. And then Justin, who cosplays as our Parappa, wanted in on it. So they kind of came up with like this Battle of the Bands type of thing because Justin likes doing his raps, and Trish and I are all about the idol life. So okay, let's do like Neko World Order um, versus the Parappa and the dogs or something like that. We actually got our longtime CWF person here as Nita Chris to join us on stage. So yay, another Fate person with us. For this one, I did Donatella for round one. This was a Lady Gaga skit. Donatella, fun fact, was supposed to be my Nero entrance until I heard Ready for It by Taylor Swift. And then for second round, what Trish did was she did the ice cream song. I wasn't aware of the ice cream meme until the day of Fanime. I had to look it up, like, okay, I kind of get this, but I'm not quite getting it, but... And then my idol group, we decided to do a video of the ice cream meme, and then, okay, now I'm getting it. Now I'm getting rid of it. For those of you who don't know, it's like this Love Live All-Stars song. The short story version of it is basically, hey, what ice cream do you like? I like this flavor, but I like you more, kind of thing. I started like just making up my own lyrics to it, just kind of get in the spirit, like, hey, what ice cream do you like? I don't know. Choco Mint from Ben and Jerry's, Rocky Road, Chunky Monkey from Baskin Robbins. I started just dropping all these ice cream brand names. But if you were to ask me what's my favorite flavor ice cream, like, just give me any specially chocolate ice cream from any indie ice cream place. Yeah, and just kind of us just sort of hanging out. I always like taking candids of us backstage as we're just getting ready. You can see here we have Arthur Reed with his book report. We have Blackbeard from Fate. We have Parappa. And we also have Mr. Hiki. Just some just highlights. So I did mention that Arthur Reed wrote a book report. So here he did write this book report. And Lashada was actually grading the book report and actually making corrections and gave Arthur Reed a check plus with a star sticker because you got to get that sticker, right? And then we also have, again, Blackbeard and Nita Chris. I'm just very happy to see more fake characters come up for Cosplay Wrestling Federation. All right. And victory, and with victory, and just celebrating another great night of CWF, we ended up going to my friend's room for some hot pot. This is my buddy Azure. Sometimes you'll see him in the comments. You'll see him in the chat, and he just took some time to make some rice, um, grab some fresh vegetables, grab some meats, and he just made hot pot. He also got some ramen noodles, so I had the ramen noodle incarnation of what he was trying to make. And like, yeah, just give me some cabbage, just get me some mushrooms, just get me some meats, and I'm good. And this is my dinner. And again, shout out to Azure for making this happen. And here's just us, just kind of like hanging out in a hotel room. And just after all of that, I ended up, just having dinner with the guys and the wives and girlfriends of Cosplay Wrestling Federation. And then later on in the evening, just spent some time with the girls of Angel Hearts. We just kind of had some rosé, and I was also hanging out with my nephew. Like, yeah, let's watch some Perry Grip together. All right, before we move on to Sunday, I just want to remind you that Convention Tea is brought to you by YMAC. With YMAC, you can get some cardigans here. So if you are any of my new Gyaru friends tuning in, this is a great resource to get cardigans, sweater vest, even some of that animal print stuff that goes well with Gyaru. This is a great resource for all of that, especially in this economy. You can use my code YMAC-Dame Asbel to get 40% off your total purchase. These pieces of clothing will last long. This is definitely not fast fashion, and I've been using their products for the past couple of years, and they have no indicator of tear anytime soon. It's also a great place for gifts if you want to grab some gifts for any loved ones, or if you just want to stay cozy around the house. And I love their vintage sweater collection, about $20 per sweater, and they come in so many colors. Like, I just wore my white one today at work, and it's also my go-to work cardigan because my office gets cold. All right. With Sunday upon us, I decided to just check out Idris's Closet. Idris's Closet is a thrift store in the hotel that is sponsored by the Black and White Ball. And this is just a way for you, if you don't have anything formal on hand, you can actually buy a formal outfit for very cheap at Idris's Closet. Again, this is at the Marriott. Sometimes I just like to take a peek to see what's here. I always forget to donate to Idris's Closet because I have like so many dresses that I'd like to donate to them. So again, if you're interested in checking out the ballroom dance, which is a huge deal for Sunday evening at Fanime, check out Idris's Closet. They also sell shoes and jewelry as well. Also, speaking of shopping, ended up just kind of also just perusing through the dealer's hall. What the dealer's hall had were, likewise your standard anime dealers. I also like looking into like just cultural thematic dealers, like this one right here. They had some kimonos, they had some geita, they had some tabby socks, and they also had some jewelry. I'm in the market now because of my Matsuri girl outfit to look for a red thematic Japanese style jewelry or hair accessories. Because I always see that like the same people at conventions out here in the Pacific Northwest sell the same thing, but I always like looking at something that's very unique, and I also just kind of like just sort of browsing around here and there. Also on day 3, I hosted my back in the day panel, Conventions and Cosplay. So this is part 1 of my Y2K panel series where we focus in on talking about conventions and cosplay. This was ran by Geki and my friend Key, and we just ended up just talking about what cosplay was like back in the day. And this is Key's first time being a part of this series, and what she had to share was like what it was like transitioning from the fan art community into the cosplay world. And we also talked about like mainly what the convention landscapes are like, how easy it was to meet guests of honor. I think like we focus a lot on the convention scene. We kind of barely scratch the surface on the cosplay part of it. So I think next time I do this, because it's very interesting, because when I did the Y2K panel initially, Geki and I, we decided like, well, what if we just divided the fandom aspect of it, the getting into anime, finding anime, access part of it, from conventions cosplay and have conventions cosplay its own thing. And now we're realizing that conventions cosplay, you need to divide that stuff up. So this is, it was also very cool to hear Key's perspective, and likewise, Key, if you're listening in, you're always welcome to be a part of our Y2K series panels. Because Key, I would always watch her shows with Angel Hearts. She did a lot of J-pop covers like back in the day, so it's just amazing that back in '02 we were kind of rivals at the karaoke show at Anime Expo, and here we are performing on stage together. So, also running around the dealer's hall. One of my favorite dealers is LA Gundam Hobby, and they would always have like a Gundam poll. And every day they would have a different Gundam poll, and I ended up taking a photo of which Gundam would you like to pilot. If you're in the chat right now, or if you are in the comment section watching the video on demand, tell me what Gundam you would pilot. So, for this one, as I was just kind of like just deciding this, someone made a good point. Maybe narrowing it down to the Gundam that won't kill you. And Ramses, I actually did vote for the Tallgeese. That was my choice. So basically, I just want to just kind of leave this poll up here so you can kind of see how people voted. Usually, LA Gundam Hobby, their Instagram has like the final votes, but this is kind of giving you an idea where people were voting. Yes, Tequila Gundam. Alright, so Sunday I decided to support my friends at Cosplay Wrestling Federation. Cosplay Wrestling Federation, they like to do a exhibition match on stage 0 just to kind of hype things up. So they did one the day before, right before our Angel Heart show. And then we also have one on Sunday before the main event. So we have Lashada here just kind of hosting things, doing her thing. We have my buddy Frankie as Weather Report Girl, I think. It's supposed to be a reporter girl of some type. Probably not Weather Report Girl. Don't Google that. Just kind of also just introducing the Stig. So the Stig was also just hyping us up against Shadow the Hedgehog on stage 0. I was also watching the maid performance, so I did not know this, but there's like over 80 maids at Fanime. It's been a tradition of mine to go to the maid cafe every Fanime, but because I was just so stacked at Fanime, I had so much going on, I didn't have a chance to like make a reservation at the maid cafe. I could have done a walk-in if I wanted to, since I was just like, hey, party of one, I think they could have sat me in, but it's alright. I could have done it, but like, it's so busy right now. But I wanted to see like the main Fanime performance, just kind of show my support and my appreciation for them, because I've been attending their maid cafe like since I started going to the maid cafe back in 2017. And like, yeah, 80 maids, and this is just not even the whole fraction of them, not even the whole of them, because I don't think you could fit like 80 people on the stage 0 stage. And they did a few performances, and they also did a dance off to Atarashi Gakko. Something new with Fanime that I wanted to check out, because a lot of my friends like the day before were checking it out. I was at Cosplay Wrestling Federation, so I didn't have a chance to check out the swap meet, but I did check out the car show. So the car show was held at this tent, and this car show was hosted by Dreamscape. It appears that Dreamscape does a lot of the Itasha car shows in the Bay Area. It's like, you know what, let me just walk around. And I actually do like the vibes of the car show. I never thought like, you know what, I guess just spend my time at the car show, just kind of taking my time, walking around. And what I like about Itasha vehicles is I just like seeing the details and the love of these cosplaying cars, for lack of a better word. I have a bias towards the Setsuna Yuki car, which has the Setsuna Neso berries. I know I've seen them before at Anime Los Angeles, and I just love seeing like the giant Setsuna on here, because not only like their exterior of their car is decorated, but they might add on some like just various this and that inside the car. Sometimes you might see figures, sometimes you might see Nessos, sometimes you might see like interior car decorations. So I always like seeing like all the details a lot of these car enthusiasts like to put on here. And what I also like about this DJ, he kept the music hype but soft enough where you can have a conversation with someone, because the escape room was also in this tent right here as well. He was playing some anime tunes, some K-pop tunes. When he was playing Fantastic Baby, like my brain just kind of went back to the past. Like, wait, I know this song. I know Fantastic Baby. Well, it's a little bit biased because I do love me Lucy from Cyberpunk. I know a lot of people say like, "Oh, Rebecca's the best girl." Like, yeah, I like Rebecca, but I can't deny Lucy. I love Lucy. Da 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 da. Anyway, so yeah, just kind of just taking some photos here of just all the Dreamscape cars. Just kind of giving you an idea just what the vibe is. I was showing these photos to my mom, and she was like, "Wait, Anime Cons have a car show now?" Like, yeah. Um, at least on the West Coast and a few large conventions on the East Coast, they do show off like all the anime cars. And like I said, I really like looking at some of the details here, and being in the idol scene, and also being one of my first idol outfits, having that race queen aesthetic. This actually kind of opened the door, just kind of like having a greater appreciation for Itasha cars. All right, day three, like I mentioned, I cosplay as Miyaka, but anytime I cosplay as Miyaka, I gotta have a food selfie. So the first photo here is actually from like this food court style place that's not too far from Fanime Con. Um, it is called like, I think it's called like the Sofa Marketplace. And basically it's kind of like this food court, but they have like Mexican food, pizza, Korean food, Japanese food. So I opted for the Japanese curry, and it was a very filling and delicious meal. Loved it. And then I went to the expensive Italian restaurant. I was very sad that Original Joe's, they changed their hours. They're a dinner place now, and I would have loved to have gone to Original Joe's for lunch because their portions are really huge. Um, so I went to the expensive Italian place, like that was at the Westin, which is also a tradition of mine. I always budget to like just have a meal over at the Italian place at the Westin because I like the vibes. And anytime I have like a big show like CWF, I like to have a really hearty meal, a very filling meal, and just kind of like to be in silence for like an hour or two. Just kind of like I just want to be in my zone, just so I can focus on my character. What am I gonna say? And just kind of be in that zone. So, like I said, anytime I cosplay as Miyaka, because Miyaka is that archetype of 90s anime characters that has an endless stomach. So, it's only appropriate I take a food selfie. And let's see, in the chat, that curry spot just opened the month prior to the con. It was so good. Yes, I agree. I had the hamburger steak one. Normally, I would go for like, I would go for like, you know, your typical chicken katsu or like sliced beef, but the hamburger was just like, chef's kiss. Also, you had some VTubers just kind of rolling around. So I tried interacting with one, but it appears like, okay, this one's not streaming. Okay, my bad. So you kind of have your VTuber freewheelers. Also, this may look like they're trying to summon Cthulhu or something, but they're not. This is actually FanimeCon staff keeping members safe. Someone had broken glass, a piece of glass, something on the floor in the video game hall. So what Fanime staff did is they created like this circle around it so no one would step on it. Alright, some day 3 cosplays. I gotta highlight just some of the day 3 of, Cosplay Wrestling Federation. So for Cosplay Wrestling Federation, we had Carl Weezer from Jimmy Neutron. I'm an elder millennial, so Jimmy Neutron was never like on my watch list or never like part of my cultural zeitgeist. So I kind of figured, so even watching my buddy Christian here as Carl Weezer, just not knowing anything about the character, he really delivered it very well, and I was very engaged and just very like, okay, what's Carl gonna do next? Like, what, and like the body pillow just totally sells it. And then we had my buddy here, Jamie, as Jamie Gomes, like the president of your local HOA, the whitest dude, the whitest yuppie you'll ever meet. And then we also have Helltaker from some game on Steam. It's escaping my brain right now. But Bryce did an amazing job as Helltaker. His character, every time he goes as Helltaker on stage, it just gets better like every time. And like, I just wish I had the means to play games on my computer, but I do not. That's what that Ko-Fi is for, people. Please donate to my Ko-Fi so I can get a better machine, please. And some other day 3 cosplays. We have Miku. I just love that giant fork. It's very giving. Okay, it's Helltaker from Helltaker. Thank you, I appreciate that. Alright, so here we have more day 3 cosplays. We have Miku with giant fork. That giant fork is definitely giving some Filipino kitchen vibes. And then we also have Mr. Hiki in a detective outfit. And also we had Cardcaptor Sakura. It did make me happy seeing like a lot of Cardcaptor Sakura cosplayers at this convention. Like, ah, dang, I could have like finished my cat Sakura costume on time, but I just had like so much going on at Fanime that I could only fit so many costumes in my suitcase. Also, some other day 3 highlights. Like I said, I saw a lot of Cardcaptor Sakura, which made me very happy. And then also, wait, that's from SakuraCon. Oops, my bad. The photo didn't load. I also like the fact that we had some casual Sailor Moon cosplayers. So that's my buddy Second Star Cosplay as Makoto with Rei in this traditional pink overalls. Pink overalls Rei is like one of my Rei cosplay goals because I might as well like dress up in like all her like outfits at this time. And then you have Ari in the Spirit Blossom outfit. Spirit Blossom is like one of my dream cosplays, but in this economy with these tariffs, probably not anytime soon. And plus, I'd probably prioritize getting a better computer than getting a new cosplay. Let's face it, I already have a lot of cosplays. I'm good. Alright, we also have Guts from Berserk. We have Mima in the red dress. And then we also have Animal Crossing on here as well. Alright, day 3, Cosplay Wrestling Federation. I went up as Hollywood Persian, representing the NECA World Order. I think I did pretty good with my promo. I've been building Hollywood Persian towards heel, but I still need practice on becoming a heel as this character because I was going off audience vibes and audience energy, and it seemed to me that the audience really wanted me to go face. So I kind of like just played it face, but if I were to make it to round 2, I was going to have some heel jabs ready to go. However, I did not make it to round 2. But you know what? I'll admit, I was sad. I was just kind of like, you know what? Dang, like, because I'm so used to making it to round 2. But I also had to remember, Fanimania has the best of the best on stage. And it's still an honor to be a part of Fanimania. This is my first time doing Fanimania main stage. And the moment I knew that, like, okay, I'm not making it to round 2, you know what? I'm still sad about this, but you know what? I want to support my friends who did make it to round 2. So what I did is I just sat front row, took photos, just kind of cheered everyone on. I remember I was also helping my friend Chitan come up with lines up against American Goku, just so they can have an idea of what to go up against. So, like, yeah, what I like about Cosplay Wrestling Federation is we're a very supportive unit. While it is competition on stage, we're all here to support each other and lift up each other. And a lot of times, kick down Mr. Hiki. Like here. Of course, yeah, this is me and this is my friends round 2 as we were poking at the lifeless Mr. Hiki. He's not dead yet. 'Tis a flesh wound. And of course, we went to Mini Boss right after Cosplay Wrestling Federation just to hang out. And this is my buddy Eddie in the back making the double horn sign. He was our Shadow the Hedgehog. And guess what? He actually held the belt. He kept the belt. He was going up against Carl Weezer in the final round. And a lot of us were thinking like, oh snap. It's going to be Carl Weezer. He's going to get the belt. Like, it ended up becoming Shadow the Hedgehog taking the title. Yeah, so at Mini Boss, they were also showing Macross Do You Remember Love. I have a lot of strong opinions about Macross, and I have not seen Do You Remember Love, I want to say since, like, wow, like 10, 15 years. I know this. I would watch this movie all the time in middle school and high school. I know this movie line from line. And then just kind of as a grown adult, you kind of you kind of see like you kind of see like yeah, your opinions on characters change. So I'm like, Minmay, you deserve better. Hikaru, do not slap your girl. Hikaru, you are a dick. I was just like yelling at the screen, and mind you, I only had one drink, so I got very passionate about this. Like, Misa, you deserve better. Minbei, you deserve better. Milia, your best girl. But I think nowadays Minmay is best girl. But yeah, they were showing Do You Remember Love? I'm like, I'll just stay here for the entirety of Do You Remember Love before going back to the hotel room. And after this, they also showed Gundam. Uh, oh, great. It's Gundam Thunderbolt. It's the one with the guy with no legs who listens to jazz. My brain is just kind of like melting right now. All right, before we get into the final day, Monday, I want to give a shout out to my book, The Fangirl Diaries. You can order your copy today. Just look in the link in the description. The Fangirl Diaries is all about that intersection of girlhood and anime fandom. This also talks about finding identity through anime fandom. June, it is Pride Month. This is a great book for Pride Month because I talk about all the anime that helped me shape my queer identity and why it even in the early 2000s, why it was also really hard to even find space to be openly bi within the anime community. So, yeah, thank you, Rams. The Thunderbolt is the jazz one. Highly recommend taking a look at the Fangirl Diaries so you can also take a look at just what the sense of community was like back then, and also pondering you with the question of, but do we have it better now? Okay, Monday. I woke up bright and early for a conversation with Rob Miles at Stage Zero. So this is a day when I was costuming from SSSS Gridman, and Rob Miles wanted to do an author talk with me at Stage Zero. And this is my first time doing like a live interview author talk at a convention, and I'm glad the first time was with Rob on Stage Zero. Granted, we started doing this as the convention opened up, but as people were coming in, they were having a seat at Stage Zero, getting to learn more about my book and what inspired it. I also learned a lot from Rob Miles with the creation of Fanime, with also Rob Miles's role at anime conventions as well. This guy is the OG. He knows what he's talking about, and it's always a pleasure talking to him. And I hope, Rob, you and I have more moments like this where we can talk about conventions back in the day. And he also just was also just telling me like, yeah, did you know like in the early '90s rap, like Will Smith and Missy Elliott were also dropping like anime references in her songs. Like, oh, I need to check this out. I never like looked quietly into it, but yeah. Which also begs the question: is Megan Thee Stallion a Kai Guy idol? All right. I also ran a panel right after doing Stage Zero with Azure, Geki, and of course myself. And this is us um, in my Y2K era with the sign right here. And we were running a little bit long. We didn't know that the next panel was canceled, so we could have gone longer with our conversation because we were getting some really interesting conversation from the audience. This was more focused with anime fandom. It's always a pleasure doing like these panels with both Azure and Geki. Yeah, my League of Legends pals here. So again, if you have not attended my Y2K panel, highly recommend checking that out. I talk a lot about anime fandom, like back in the day, what it was like being a millennial, what it was like pirating all this stuff when you have all these weeaboomers telling me that you're not a real anime fan because you download stuff. Like, hi, I'm broke, and when you're telling me that anime is a privilege, not a right, that's some gatekeeping nonsense. Of course, I'm gonna buy things when they're licensed when I have some money, but guys, I'm a college student. I'm a high school student. Cut me some slack. Anyway, also my friend Miles gave me this crocheted Sailor Mars doll. I also went to the dealer's hall and they had a Persian plush. So it was only right for me to like just carry my Persian plush and my Mars crochet doll around with me at the convention. I went back to Insignia just so I can just take one more look at the J fashion section to pick up a few things. Um, so they even had a doll display where you can pose your doll. So if you had like a Dolphy, if you had a BJD doll, I know that's redundant. If you had like any dolls that were anime related, or any figures, like hell, you can even bring your Gunpla here, and you can just pose them with a backdrop. So I just took my crochet doll here that was given to me as a gift, and Persian, and yeah, here are my CWF characters. In fact, these are my favorite CWF characters I like to play, and I was just told by a friend of mine that Persian is my current strongest one. So I'm looking forward to bring Hollywood Persian to upcoming events. And also just taking this Persian plush around with me because, oh my god, it's so adorable. Also, it wouldn't be a convention in California without the Vote guys. So I think I don't know if the reference entirely here. Maybe someone can in the chat or like in the comments can explain this. I probably will look it up. This is based off of 100 people versus one bear. I voted for 100 people. I guess. I guess I'll just have to Google the reference here. Oh, okay, so there's one meme about 100 people versus a gorilla. Okay. Yeah, so it wouldn't be the convention without the vote guys. Sometimes I'll have like voting things like NSYNC or Backstreet Boys. Of course, I voted for NSYNC. And of course, one of the highlights of Fanime, like I'd be remiss if I didn't give this a shout out. There was like a mini shrine for Joann's and Hancock Fabrics. Hancock is more of a local San Jose area fabric place. I think I've only been to it once, but Joann's, this is like closing week for like a lot of Joann stores, including my local ones. So people were just like putting flowers out. I had a can of Coke with me that I wasn't planning on drinking, that I had to get rid of before boarding my flight. So I just left a can of Coke there, and people were just kind of like just paying their respects to the loss of Joann's and Hancock Fabrics. I also attended closing ceremonies. I think this is one of the first times I've attended closing ceremonies in a while. And with closing ceremonies, this is just like the final farewell from the guests of honor. And this is also the reveal of the theme for next year. And the theme for next year is Haunted House. So appropriately, the board members got up, put on bedsheet ghost outfits to announce the theme. Also, just kind of the last shot of Fanime. I kind of like just caught up with my buddy Kenny over here in the black shirt, and I just kind of made a comment like, Kenny, the way you're just people watching right now, you remind me of a cat looking outside the window. And the joke here is, one time Kenny was staying at my apartment, and he was sleeping right by the window, and my cats were looking outside the window. And then Kenny told me in the morning, like, hey, I think your cats want to escape because they're staring at the window. And I sent Kenny this photo, like, hey, Kenny, I think you want to escape Fanime. Anyway. So, let's just kind of give out some special thanks here. I want to give a special shout out to Geki for, like, just helping with everything throughout the weekend. Thank you so much for being a team player, and thank you so much for being my convention ride or die. I want to give a shout out to Cosplay Wrestling Federation for just being amazing people. You guys are like the theater kid friends that I wish I had when I was in high school. Granted, I also had the voice acting community, but actually being able to do stage work with all of you, actually being able to build that trust that where we can do so many amazing things together on stage and make magic happen. This is why I love being part of CWF. And every one of us is always supporting one another and building up our characters, whether we're face or heel. It's always an amazing show, always with you guys. And Fanime is just like the brings together the best of NorCal, the best of the Pacific Northwest, and the best of Southern California all together, all in one place. I also wanted to give a shout out to Angel Hearts Cosplay. Angel Hearts. I know, like, Saint cosplay is just so, like, so second nature to me. Angel Hearts, you guys are just amazing. It's such a blessing to be finally performing with you guys at Stage Zero. I know we've performed before, but I think joining Angel Hearts came at a time where I really needed gal pals, and I'm just forever blessed, no pun intended, to be a part of it all, and I am forever blessed to be the Red Reputation Angel. It is just amazing. All right, and also shout outs to Rob Miles, Wendell, Stage Zero for just making everything happen, and also shout out to everyone who gave me their copy, who allowed me to sign their copy of my book, The Fangirl Diaries. I didn't have an official signing at Fanime, but I had people approach me like, "Hey, can you sign? Can you sign my book? Can you sign my like? Yeah, sure. Like, hey, Fanime. If anyone from Fanime is listening, hi. I do panels. I do signings. You can have me be a guest of honor. Like, by all means, I will gladly accept any invitations as a guest of honor. Because I know there's a lot of value I could add to your convention. I can be the yappy anime history fandom girl person thing. Of course, it wouldn't be convention tea without mentioning some constructive criticism. I just love this photo of like one of the chairs here, just kind of it's like I am sassy ghost, like, but check out my friendship bracelets. So, some constructive criticism. Um, uh, so, that area where like a lot of photographers kind of convene, that gray area, no pun intended. That area began to stink on Monday. I didn't use that area at all for photography because I found like just some better places for photography when it comes to Fanime. That place stank. You can kind of see here. Um, I know this is like outside the convention center area, but like I was like ready to like bust out if I had Febreze, if I had like any of my like room spray stuff. Like, oh my god, that place stank like butt. Not like fanboy funk. This like it smells like if you ever are driving up the I-5 freeway, there's that section where there are cows. That's what it smelled like. I'm like, guys, uh. So other constructive criticism, um, huh. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head. Um, I, I'm always gonna have this constructive criticism like every year when it came to Artist Alley. Artist Alley always feels cramped. I kind of always feel that Artist Alley should be in a bigger room. Um, I know if they move it back to the tents, we lose the Atasha Car Show. But I just kind of feel like I don't know. Maybe if you switch the autograph room with like Artist Alley, because I feel like the Bay Area, you have like a lot of talented artists out there who would love to showcase their stuff, and I would love to definitely see more artists. 'Cause I remember Artist Alley being like a lot bigger when I was going in like the early San Jose years. But that's just always going to be a forever complaint that I have. I didn't go to ParkCon. ParkCon's not really my thing, but all I can say is people clean up after yourselves, be excellent to each other. Um, the lack of hot dog vendors didn't really affect me as much because I always bring my own food to conventions to prepare, and it seemed like there was like a lot of police crackdown on like outdoor outside vendors, so I don't really have much to say on that, but I just say like I think it's going to be a new reality going forward that we might not see like the danger dog vendors, and I would say come prepared. um Hone in your high school grade school instincts, make a sandwich before going to the con, I guess. Bring like a Capri Sun juice box, and yeah, I'm just trying to think what are some other constructive bits of criticism. um but overall, I really enjoyed Fanime this year. I was kind of expecting like, okay, I'll just go through the notions and whatever, but I really appreciate like how kind everyone on staff has been with me this year. The people I interacted with, so far, we hadn't had a problem, programming wise, getting things off the ground. I really appreciate the main programming staff. Special shout out to them. Special shout out to the main programming staff. They were actually able to help me connect with con ops because I did have a creeper situation. on day one. And I said, and I did mention to them, like, hey, I'm afraid that this person might be coming into my panels. What is the protocol if this person shows up at any of my panels? And like, yeah, here's his phone number. Just give a description of the guy, and they'll take care of it. And flag this person on staff at your panels if this person is being a nuisance. Like, oh my goodness, I really appreciate all the thorough care that the staff took to prevent this person from being at my panels, all the care that they had I ran into him. So, excuse me. So I really appreciate Fanime really taking steps to prevent questionable people affecting guest experience. And again, like Fanime, I'm always down to be a guest if you need someone because I ran 3 panels. I'm capable of having some signings and Q&As. Also, special shout out to the Flying Hands Massage team. You've been at Fanime for as long as I can remember, and I knew I needed that massage before going back on the plane. When they were like focusing on my legs, like, yeah, your legs are pretty tough and tense. Like, yeah, I was dancing for most of the weekend. So really special shout out to Flying Hands Massage. If you can afford them, definitely recommend just booking a chair massage appointment with them. Just trying to think. Final thoughts. Overall, I just enjoyed Fanime. I wouldn't mind coming back again next year. This is actually like one of my favorite Bay Area events, but you know what? I'm hoping and manifesting that Bay Area events will start inviting me as a guest to talk about my book, to talk about convention past, and to moderate these type of discussions so we can know our history as a fandom, as a community, so we know how to move forward. So I'm more than happy to do that. So if there are any Bay Area cons, or if there are people in the chat who are connected with Bay Area cons, I'm more than happy to like chat and yap about conventions past and fandom past as well. Friendly vibes overall at Fanime, of course. I wish I had taken more photos, but because of my schedule, it didn't really allow for it. But I tried to capture the vibes as best I could for the sake of the convention report, for the sake of convention tea. And we have my buddy here, Glitch. Remember, if you're reading Glitch's notes in the chat here, you gotta read them in a Cookie Monster kind of voice. In addition, everyone make sure to stretch before going out to the con floor. Yes, I agree. Stretching really helps so you don't get any cramps. And Glitch, I hope one day that you and I can do that panel on spicy cosplay books. No, really, now that I've like been so enamored in like romance novels, there's actually a subgenre of spicy cosplay romance. And like, you and I just kind of just need to go through some passages in these books and like, okay, is this for real cosplayers? Anyway. So yeah, that's pretty much my general thoughts on Fanime 2025. And again, if I were to pick one word to, if I were to pick one word to describe Fanime, it would definitely be grateful. Grateful for friendships, both old and new. Grateful to just being a part of it all. And it's just been a really wonderful experience. And I think for this year's convention report, we're going to go with Billie Eilish, Hit Me Hard and Soft. I was originally going to go for Mayhem, but I think I'll save Mayhem for Anime Expo. But yeah, Hit Me Hard and Soft by Billie Eilish definitely describes the vibe of Fanime Con 2025. Okay, and with that said, thank you so much. Yeah. All right, I'm supposed to end this, right? Okay. And with that said, thank you so much for tuning in to another edition of Cosplay. Sorry. It is getting late here. I have my candles lit up. It is getting late here at the virtual cottage. It is time to tuck the kitties in, to tuck the anteater in, and to call it a night. Thank you very much for attending another serving of convention tea. I was about to say spicy cosplay stories, but that is not the stream. Anyway, Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate having you all here. And again, I hope to see you guys at the next convention. Our next one is Anime Expo. I am in the street for that event. Geki and I will be teaching you how to shop for fabric at the LA Fashion District as part of Cosplay Night School. So yeah, Geki and I will be your college professors at at Cosplay Night School. I can't talk right now. All right, that is the cue for me to go to sleep. And with that said, good night, good fight. I'll see you at the con.